Good morning, students. Um, Today we are going to discuss about the subject cognitive radio. So, our first unit is Introduction to Software Defined Radio. So, first, um, we need to know about the what is cognitive radio and what is the concept, what are the requirements, and what are the properties, and why cognitive radio is needed. Something we need to discuss about the cognitive radio first, and then we are going to analyze the software defined radio and the implements and the future scope of software defined radio. So first we need to discuss about the cognitive radio. First, what is cognitive radio? So cognitive radio is nothing but a form of a wireless communication. So the transceiver can detect which the communication signals are in use, which one is not in use. So this is the main concept of cognitive radio. So the wireless communication of the transceiver can detect the communication channels, which one is in use and which one is not in use. Okay. So the transceiver also moves the vacant channel instantly. So it also avoiding the occupied ones. This is the main concept also. So the transceiver that moves the vacant channel instantly, they avoiding the occupied ones. Okay. Next, what is the concept? There are three main concepts of the cognitive radio. What are the concepts? First one is the opportunistic spectrum range. Second one is range of cognitive communication, and third one is numerical test. These are the three basic concepts of cognitive radio. First one is opportunistic spectrum range, and second one is range of communication, cognitive communication, and third one is numerical test. These are the three main and basic concepts of cognitive radio. So next one, what are the requirements of cognitive radio? So first requirement, it coexists with legacy wireless systems. Next, it uses their spectrum sources. So it does not interfere with the other sources. Okay, these are the requirements of cognitive radio. So why cognitive radio is needed? So why cognitive radio is needed means, so radio spectrum is considered as one of the important source, okay, here nowadays. So why cognitive radio is needed means, here the radio spectrum is a important resource, so it is also regulated. So the spectrum usage is the main key issues in the communication system challenges. So to overcome this, we need a cognitive radio concept. Okay, the spectrum usage is the key issues in the communication system challenges. So the spectrum efficiency can be improved with the concept of dynamic spectrum allocation. So one of the main issues is spectrum usage in the communication system challenges. To improve the spectrum efficiency, we can using the dynamic spectrum allocation. So cognitive radio network is also used in efficiency of spectrum utilization. Okay, here it is very much used in the efficiency of spectrum utilization. That's why we need the cognitive radio concept. So what are the properties of cognitive radio network means? So first one is RF technology. It's related to spectrums. RF technology is the main property. Next one is knowledge of primary users. Okay, here the spectrum usage is a function of location and time. Next one is sharing the available resources. Okay, next one is the sharing the available resources like time, frequency, and space. Next one is the embedded intelligence to determine the optimized transmissions like bandwidth, that is based on the primary user transceiver. This concept is based on the only the primary user transceiver. So what is a primary user and secondary user like that means? Here we need two networks like primary networks and secondary network. So in primary network, the primary users and primary base stations are comes under primary network. In secondary network, the secondary users and secondary networks are comes under secondary network. Okay. So what is primary user and the difference between the primary user and secondary user? So in primary user, they have the license to operate in certain spectrum bands. So in secondary user, they have no license bands assigned to them. Okay. So the primary user have the license to operate in the some used in certain spectrum bands, but in secondary user they have no license. Okay, for the usage of the bands that are assigned to them. So what is primary base station and secondary base station? So difference between the primary base station and secondary base station is, in primary base station it controls the access of primary users to spectrum. Okay, it controls the access of primary users. So in secondary users, so in secondary base station, a fixed infrastructure component is there with some interior radio capabilities. A fixed infrastructure components is there with some cognitive radio capabilities. So it provides a single hop connection to the secondary users. So this is the major difference between the primary base station and the secondary base station. So cognitive radio, which also helps to overcome the radio spectrum scarcity. This is the main concept that we have discussed. So next one is at avoid intentional radio jamming scenarios. Next is switch to the power saving protocol. Next, it improves the satellite communication. It is considered as main thing. Next, it improves the quality of services, that is QoS. It improves the satellite communication as well as the quality of services. So what are the applications of cognitive radio? It is very much used in public safety networks, cognitive mesh networks, leased networks, battlefield military networks, very much used in military application, cognitive radio as well as software defined radio. The basic terms and the entire concept of cognitive radio that are very much used in the military applications in real time. So next one is disaster relief and emergency network. These are the applications of cognitive radio.